All right. Welcome back dito sa ating wonderful episode. Beautiful people, amazing people. Kasama po natin ngayon isa sa mga akala natin hindi makalusot kung maniwala ka sa service. Ang the greatest Congressman Percy Sandanya. Thank you very much, Ka Percy, for joining us, for sharing your time. Amazing time, wonderful time. Kamusta ka, Percy?
Very telling ang intro mo, Richard. Ha? Oo, very telling. Could have been true, but thank God hindi siya nagkatotoo. Pero marami naman, ganyan yung inaasahan na most probably isa lang ang makakapasok sa akbayan, Senator Attorney Chel lang, pero sa dulo, ayun, nagkaroon tayo ng chance for a second term. And
Chance for
hopefully, and a complete term now. Kasi 7 months pa lang ako in Congress eh.
Oo nga eh. Sabi ko, kakalusot lang ni Percy pag hindi ito nakatuloy. Para ano ba yan? Parang nag-intern ka lang sa Congress.
Oo. Nag-intern with almost 30 bills and the first impeachment complaint. Grabe internship, no? Pang 3 years.
Greatest intern of all time. I mean, on the record ako Percy, when I was looking at the service na 1% lang kayo, sabi ko, please naman, itaasin ng konti para makapasok naman si Percy. Siya na nga yung unang nag-sponsor ng impeachment, tapos siya pa ang hindi makapasok. Kasi people are saying, at least pasok na si Chel, yung mga ganon. So, hindi sapat yan. Dapat tatlong makapasok, di ba? Kasi meron din tayong representative from Mindanao at Kababayan. Hindi pwede na si Percy rin at si Chel. So, thank God in the end, it looks like it turned out way
Wow.
better. But before I go to your post-mortem ng elections, kasi kami ni Ronald, puro kami pre-mortem ang ginawa namin. Tumablay-sablay yung ano.
Oo.
I want to ask you, what is this whole new series you've launched about Harry, like Jonelle, like what is this Harry Roque series?
Actually, it's a regular thing that we do. It's the gay lingo of the week. We introduce words from the gay lingo vocab, and then we connect it with current events. For that particular week, the gay lingo was Joella. Joella is the word for to come home, pauwiin. So uwi ang root word. So yon. And then, napakagaling ng ating creative na editor, pinag-connect niya yung Joella with the drag queen Joella from RuPaul's Drag Race. So, siya yung lumabas wearing a mattress. And then, sinubukan din niya na i-substitute yung face ni Harry sa face ni Joella. And it worked.
Although I'm not sure matutuwa yung isa kaysa yung isa. So I mean baka mabash naman kayo diyan. So is this gonna be a regular thing habang hindi pa umuwi si Harry Roque? Kasi ano daw, tatlo ba? Dalawa yung passport niya. Ilan ba passport? Sa isip ba, ano yun, may Macau passport din ba siya? Ay, ang daming passport ng Jonelle. Kailan ba siya magjo-Jonelle? Paano kung hindi na siya
Joel, kaya siya
Well,
Joella. Oh, kinakailangan Jumuela as soon as possible. Kasi kung talaga naniniwala siya at pinaninindigan niya na inosente siya, then harapin niya yung mga kaso niya dito sa Pilipinas. So, kaya ang ating panawagan, Joella na.
So, was it Panelo said na kung tunay kang lalaki, uwi ka or something like that? Sabi ko, hindi ko papatulan yung mga
But I won't go there. Oo. Kasi
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
won't go there. Pero ano lang, kasi nakita natin at least for once in Harry's life is now wanted.
But hard to get siya ngayon. So wala,
Pa-hard to get.
hard to
Oo.
get. Kung once ka lang maging wanted, mag-hard to get ka na, ulubos-lubusin mo na yan. So, alam mo, Percy, mas troll ka sa akin. Akala ko I was like the number one troller of Harry. Si Harry takot sa akin pag tinitroll ko siya. Kami dalawa ni Ronald eh. Si Ronald nga, yun yung kasama sa interview, bully daw si Ronald eh. But Percy, I think you're outdoing us na eh. Meron ka ng series na yan eh.
No, it's just a one-shot thing. So hindi natin alam how things would evolve kung suddenly maging relevant uli in the next few days. He becomes more wanted and then perhaps we can do another episode on that.
Hindi, let's make him relevant. Yun na nga lang matitira sa kanya. Otherwise, magtutulips-tulips na lang siya dyan sa
Oo.
Netherlands.
Pero, di ba, pero accountability and justice is always relevant. Always relevant.
I want to talk about that. Like, how important is well, let's be honest, this is dark humor, right? Like we're because it's so ridiculous that yung situation natin. Ay, paano itong tao na to eh, ganito, ganyan, ganyan. Not that nakita mo with Ronald, di ba? We always use dark humor. Some people misunderstand it, but how important do you think is humor in surviving? Kasi ikaw, Percy, ang dami mong dinaanan on personal level, politically, my goodness, the ordeal, and then of course there are the moments of triumph. How important is humor to survive and thrive politically, especially in a crazy, narcos, surreal political situation like the Philippines?
Well, humor has always been a currency to survive. Parang currency, survival currency talaga ang humor sa Pilipinas. Mula dun sa how some people would take life, their condition, kasi as a way of coping, and also as a way of understanding the world. Kasi minsan pag hindi mo nilagyan ng humor, kung gano'n ka-komplikado, ka-complex, at kasalimuot yung realidad na meron tayo, malulungkot ka na lang. At minsan, nakaka-disempower yung masyado kang malungkot. When you put some level of humor, nagkakaroon ng creativity, at anong nangyayari, you tend to reach out to more people. So mas marami ang nakakaunawa doon sa mensahe na gusto mo iparating. Kaya nga, feeling ko yung mga bashers natin doon sa Gay Lingo of the Week, yun yung nami-miss nila. Napakahalagang tool for communication ng humor at siya ay very Pinoy.
Siya ang very Pinoy, right? And humor is also important to disarm, 'di ba? Kasi napansin ko yung strength ng mga demagogues, populists, fascists, whatever you want to call them is yung ability nila to intimidate, 'di ba? Babastusin ka nila, they will troll you, they will try to pin you down. So I always felt like joking with them around or even self-deprecating comments, unahin mo na lang sila, biglang wala na sila magagawa. It's actually a very good jiu-jitsu strategy too, no?
Yes, that's humor is a very effective way of speaking truth to power.
Basically satire, right? Basically satire, yeah.
Oo. Yeah. At meron tayong mahabang tradisyon ng satire sa Pilipinas mula doon sa komedya, nung mga sinaunang panahon sa panitikan, hanggang I remember I grew up during a time na merong Sick O'Clock News. This was a show in the, I think, late 80s. Basically parody of the news and very powerful siya in communicating that very strong message of pushing back, of protest. No? In the 90s, we had Abangan ng Susunod na Kabanata, parody of traditional politics. Medyo kulang nga sa mainstream ngayon eh. It would have been
Kulang
very
talaga.
effective kung meron. Oo.
I think Lord De Vera tried it, 'di ba? Yung yung wasakin yung mga ganun show niya.
Yes. Oo.
Sana kung ituloy na lang ni Lord De Vera. Actually, I had him also on this show. Many people kasi ang problema ni Lord, when he's with me, he's very serious bigla. Sabi ko, wait lang, you're not paid to be here. Although he's not paid naman. Like, I didn't invite you to have an intellectual conversation. Kasi pagkasama kami, very literati. Alam mo naman, syempre, three-time Palangka Award yan.
Yes.
That guy
Oh,
is like a
brilliant.
legit artist. He's like legit artist.
Baka you inspire that in him.
Since he's seen enough of me and Ronald just messing around and pissing off everyone. Wala nagsiserious mode siya. Well, hopefully we can have Lord in his more wasak mode. Para wag pa na naman ang gagawin namin. Now, obviously, Percy, speaking of humor, did you humor the surveys or are you taking the surveys humorously? Because you were like 1% in the best case scenario surveys I saw. You ended up almost 7%. That's quite a huge difference. And you went from 1 seat to 7 seats. Were the surveys kind of off? Were they underestimating last moment mobilization? Is this the children factor? Is this the Gen Z factor? I mean, you guys were number 10 even in Davao. Meron ba kayong katulad ni Roque na deep penetration agents or mga little birds? Grabe yung headline ng DOJ. Nahuli ang little bird ni Roque. May deep penetration. I sabi ko, don't do this. Kasalanan ng mainstream media rin eh.
Grabe. Pan on pan on pan. Grabe yun. Oo, nakakaloka. Yun, going back to the surveys, naalala ko yung last pre-election survey, it was Pulse. And for us, political observers, campaigners, yung medyo mahaba na sa karanasan sa politika, usually, we look at the last Pulse Asia survey as more indicative of the outcome or results of the election. So usually, pag nakita mo yung last Pulse na pre-election, ito na more or less yung resulta. Pero medyo iba siya. Halimbawa, sa amin sa party list, we were ranked 60 in the last Pulse Asia survey, a little over 1%. No? So, masaya kami na hindi nagkatotoo yung Pulse this time around. Pero going back to the question about meron ba kaming DPA, Little Birdie, I'm sure ako marami kaming passionate campaigners. That's what I'm very sure. Passionate, volunteer, young, driven campaigners. And these are young people who learned a lot from the 2022 campaign. Sila yung mga bagong mga kaka-involved sa electoral politics nung panahon ng takbo ni VP Lenny, yung mga kakamping na nung una experience sila, meron silang passion. Itong pangalawang sabak nila ng 2025, meron ng passion, tapos naka-develop na ng expertise. So yun yung napansin ko. It was a campaign driven by, of course, a very robust strategy. Kasi ang galing ng campaign manager namin, yung campaign manager namin at yung campaign team, ito rin yung mga tao who's responsible for putting up the bold fronts against China in the West Philippine Sea. Yung campaign manager natin, si Rafaela Paeng David. Di ba yung civilian commander na kinatatakutan ng Chinese Coast Guard, no? Sobrang insecure sila kay Mother Paeng natin. And it was a very robust campaign. No? Talagang pinaghandaan, pinag-isipan, tinignan paano tayo kikilos given na limited yung resources natin. Paano tayo kikilos given na ito yung sitwasyon natin on the ground ngayon dahil nga doon sa attacks from various fronts. Pero sa dulo, yun, ang lakas ng children, ang lakas ng young people na meron ng expertise after 2022.
You mean mobilization, analytics, understanding the lay of the land, parang ganon, expertise?
Yes, yes. And even organizing, doon ako na-impress. Kaya nga madalas sinasabi ko, parang that plus yung element ni Senator Risa Ontiveros who was campaigning for Akbayan day in, day out. Yung Risa magic na ramdaman din natin. Pero let me go back to that particular experience with young people. Laging ang favorite case study ko yung mga taga Santa Rosa, Laguna. Ang tawag na sarili nila ay RPC, Robredo People's Council, ng Santa Rosa. And then nag-operate din sila sa San Pedro, Binyan, hanggang Calamba. No? At doon nagsasalubong sila with various mass movements sa supportive sa Akbayan. Yung labor, andyan ang very strong presence ng PMA at iba pang mga mass movement organizations. What I saw ay, grabe na yung confidence ngayon ng mga young people to take on the challenge of electoral campaign. Kasi naalala ko ng bata tayo, medyo mas, di ba, volunteer ka, you stick to your small corner, pero ito, they were leading the charge. And they know what to do. So nung tinatanong ko sila, sabi ko, tingin nyo, paano nyo natutunan ito? Sabi nilang gano'n, 2022 was a very important learning experience for them. So makita mo yung arc ng development from 2022 to 2025. Ang gagaling nilang mga kampanya, ang galing nilang mag-organize ng events, mag-organize ng communities, and imagine what they can do in 2028.
Absolutely. We'll talk about 2028 later on because I think we want to talk about 2028 with cautious optimism but nevertheless a lot of optimism kasi grabe yung like wow talaga. Without also becoming complacent because numbers sa Senate, it's a number games basically everywhere. But going back to this, mahalaga yung sinabi mo, Percy, dun sa issue ng learning experience or yung learning curve galing sa 2022 dahil isa sa mga naging concern ng mga ibang tao, itago natin sa pangalan na Ronald Llamas, ay hindi na-harness yung 2022 Pink Movement or medyo nagkakulang daw ang leadership doon. Now, I can agree with him to a certain degree. In fact, I raised that issue right after elections na sana hindi ito maging one-off lang and then move on na tayo natin. But it looks like what you're saying is the seeds of success were already sown and that magkaroon ng grassroots remobilization. In as much as, of course, Leni Robredo, Bam, and all also sumabak din sila eventually. So that created, of course, the inspiration. We'll talk about Riza Ontiveros, of course, soon. So what you're saying is that it looks like yung 2022 became a very successful laboratory for training a new generation of organizers. And now we're beginning to finally see at least a glimpse of the dividends that it could pay. Ganun ba ang basa mo?
Yes, at may salubungan na nangyari. Kasi parang hindi lamang ito na 2022 na involved, even those na na-involved prior to that, yung mga entrenched na sa mass movement. Ngayon parang, di ba, nakita natin yung halaga of learning electoral politics. Kasi it's a technology eh. It's a technology that we have to learn. Kasi magaling tayo sa mass movement organizing, magaling tayo sa community-based organizing. Pero ibang challenge talaga yung electoral politics. At nakita natin, even yung mass movements, may ganung learning at pagkatuto. Kaya nga isang favorite case study ko dyan, San Jose del Monte. Kasi kung titignan mo yung latag ng Akbayan, yung isa sa pinaka-robust natin na division ay yung division ng San Jose del Monte, Bulacan. Kasi ang tawag namin dyan, kumpleto ang mga recados. Kumpleto yung mga elemento. Meron kang mass movement na organizing among urban poor, informal sector. Meron kang yung mga galing sa local government units. You have a very strong youth base. So, nakita natin, itong eleksyon na ito, talagang nag-step up talaga yung mga kasama in the electoral campaign. At makita mo yun, how well they delivered the results, not just for Akbayan, but even for our local candidates in San Jose del Monte. So, kaya mahalaga na tama ka. Learning from 2022, let's not wait for another elections para magkaroon uli ng coming together itong mga forces na to. Simulan na yung consolidation process ngayon pa lang. In the next 9 months, buuin na natin, ilatag na natin yung balangkas kasi napakahalaga nun sa pag-build. Madalas sinatawag ng mga tao na runway. Pero more than that, napakahalaga nun to keep the fire burning from 2025.
Basically, ito yung maging mitochondria of even a more revitalized Pink 3.0 or whatever you want or
Yes,
progress.
yes.
Again,
Oo.
before medyo tayo advance nag-iisip na ngayon. I want to go back to this. Ang gusto ko lang tanungin sa iyo, Percy, as of this moment is, anong basa mo sa surveys, pumalpak pang surveys? Were they helpful? Were they not helpful? Because there are two levels, no? One is methodologically sound ba ito? Pero second is the political effect. Kasi my worry was, titignan ng tao ang surveys, ay wala na palang pag-asa eh. Good luck na lang sa atin, di ba? Okay, I'll push it a little bit. O yan na, magbabash ang tao sa akin. Like, if only people had idea how Heidi Mendoza had such a good chance, she got more votes than Willie, maybe there would have been more investment and more consolidation also behind her, right? I know this is a sensitive issue. In fairness, si Ma'am Heidi also tried to distance herself from an implication na parang hindi naman niya sinasabi na kasalanan niya na hindi ako sinama sa Checky Bam or whatever. But what I'm saying is, marami nagko-comment na dahil sa surveys, hindi sila nag-all in. Akala nila it's basically Kiko and Bam lang. So nag-undervote sila. They didn't mobilize enough behind other progressive candidates. So biglang nagsisi sila. Shucks, kung alam lang namin ganun kataas ang maging ranking ni Kiko and Bam na sobrang sure pala sila, di sana ganito, di ba? So obviously, even if we can make an argument na sound at solid yung mga surveys, or at least some of the surveys, unfortunately, nagkaroon din ng ganitong demobilization effect or demoralization effect, right? Or pa-safe effect. How did you get over that in Akbayan to make sure, wag niyo pansinin yung 1% na yan, kayang-kaya natin yan, tatlo na ipasok natin. How did you keep that going? That's almost like religious fervor, right? You need almost like
Yeah.
political faith in like in the Catholic sense of the word.
Yung flip side nga naman yan, kasi iba ang basa nila, parang the people push back dun sa survey. So parang yung pushback nila, ayun nga, let's push for the candidates who we believe in, pero malayo o nasa laylayan ng mga polls natin. So posible that could happen. But at the same time, I still appreciate yung value ng surveys kasi napakahalaga na pag nangangampanya ka may metrics kasi that's how you measure the effectivity, the efficiency, the traction of your campaign. Without the surveys, wala kang ibang pagbabasihan eh. Ang mangyayari doon ka lang makikinig sa echo chamber mo. So mahalaga na meron pa rin ganitong klase ng polling. Pero baka may innovations na kailangan gawin. Kasi di ba in a voting landscape na ang karamihan ay bagets, either Gen Z or millennials, tapos nasa panahon ka na nagbago din yung school calendar. Dati pag ganitong panahon walang pasok ang mga bagets, so ang mga estudyante ay nasa kanilang bahay. Pero ngayon nasa eskwelahan sila. So nahagip kaya ng survey yun? Very interesting kasi di ba halimbawa pag tinignan mo yung mga polling sa schools, lagi mataas si Kiko, si Bam, no? And even look and Heidi. Tapos lagi namang nasa number 1 or number 2 ang Akbayan. Kaya may nagsasabi, ay, very accurate at predictive yung mga school surveys, no? So, yun lang siguro isang challenge na kailangan tingnan. Parang very bagets yung maraming makapal yung demographics ng mga kabataan, nahahagip kaya sila ng survey. At kung nahahagip man sila, meron kaya silang comfort na sabihin talaga kung ano yung sentiment nila. Kasi baka pa rin sa dulo, meron ilan sa kanila sinasabi lang undecided, pero actually, in their hearts of hearts, nakapag-decide na pala sila. So, baka may ganun lang na kinakailangan pag-aralan yung ating mga experts in terms of sampling at saka yung analytics pagdating sa polling.
Ako, just to be clear, again, a caveat sa atin yan, just to be scientific about this, wala kasi tayong legit na exit polls. I always said if we had exit polls, we would still be going through the notes right now and break it down. So unfortunately, sobrang mahal daw kasi ng exit polls. And laki ng sampling na
Yes.
kailangan mo, 40, 50,000. So siguro ang push natin next time is magkaroon ng consortium of legit survey agencies para they can co-found it. And sana naman yung ibang korporasyon or yung mga ibang yayamanin natin kaibigan, fund naman this para hindi haka-haka. But having said that, one thing we know is that the turnout was the highest on record, at least in recent memory, for midterm elections. Ang layo sa 2019, ang layo dun sa even 2013 midterm elections. And my sense is Gen Z did probably show up more than people expected. And that also may explain some of the, to quote Malu Tikia, wild. Mahilig talaga sa wild yung mga kaibigan natin. Wild outcomes. And of course, I'm sure masaya siya for the DDS slate, pero masaya din tayo for the non-DDS slate, right? So,
Oo.
ikaw,
Pero ba, yung what I also want to emphasize is that hindi lang sila lumabas, yung Gen Z at millennials, hindi lang sila lumabas para bumoto. Marami sa kanila lumabas para mangampanya. No? At paano kumbinsihin din yung kanilang magulang? Kasi di ba, alam naman natin, there was a time, ang source of political info ng mga kabataan ay yung mga magulang nila, yung mga nakatatanda. Pero ngayon, we hear of anecdotes, medyo madami, na actually, the older generation, parents, grandparents, titos, titas, are asking the younger members of the family about their perspective on candidates and who to vote for. At tingin ko napakahalaga ng ganong intergenerational conversation. Kasi baka nga napakahalaga ng conversation na yun in changing the expected outcome of this election. So, magandang pag-aralan din yan. Paano yung naging conversation between these generations na eventually nag-lead to influencing each other.
that's a good point. That's a very, very good point. Again, hindi ito buhat bangko or even buhat bangko ng mga colleagues natin na influencers. I'm talking about the legit ones, not yung mga Mickey Mouse vloggers. Marami akong nakitang anecdotal evidence na nag-share. Si Mommy ay boboto na sa akbayan kasi napanood niya, let's say, kunyari, episode ni, sige, para lang neutral. Kunyari, si Edu Manzanos doon sa isang show na pinag-usapan yung buhay ni akbayan or pinanood si Percy Sendanya doon sa isang show. Marami daw mga titas of Manila, titas of Baguio, titas of Cebu, dahil daw sa mga influencers na engganyo sila sa akbayan. I even saw, like, interestingly, like, even big celebrities like whether it's naman ako medyo bobo ako sa showbiz people like no
And
Ann
Curtis.
Ann Curtis exactly Ann Curtis Bianca I even saw them retweeting subtweets sometimes we would make like wow talagang like subtweets yung nire-retweet nila like when you put data you put ganon akbayan my chance so baka nag-work din yan no baka influencers celebrities yung ganun, baka gumana rin talaga yun, no? Aside from the children factor, which we want to discuss shortly.
No, actually, it's a confluence of many elements. I can imagine. Kasi di ba, imagine from, ang sabi ka ng isang campus paper from Sabit to Summit. So, sabit ka lang ng 2019, tapos ngayon, nakaabot ka sa tuktok. So, alam mo na hindi lang ito isang force, maraming forces yung nagtulong-tulong to bring you to the top. So, maganda rin pag-aralan. Ito naging performance talaga ng akbayan nitong 2025. At yan yung gagawin din natin in the next few months habang pinaghahandaan natin at pinagbubuti yung magiging trabaho natin sa Kongreso.
Now, I want to talk about the children factor because I think it's hard to deny that Chel Jokno brought certain gravitas and heft. I'm not saying that Percy wala kang gravitas. I mean, you, Larissa, I mean, the whole gang, right? Maybe not Ronald Llamas, but basically minus Ronald Llamas, lahat kayo may gravitas. But let's be honest, Chel Jokno really brought something to the table. Just for people to understand, ano yung process nag-mergers kayo, San Goku, nag-Vegeta kayo ni Chel Jokno because it looks like wow, ang lumabas sa'yo ni Super Saiyan 4 basically. Sorry for
Yeah. Well,
the reference point, yeah.
napakahalaga no naging role ni Attorney Chel in introducing akbayan to the younger set of voters. Kasi di ba, si Attorney Chel, ang tawag iba sa kanya, woke lolo, pero hindi pa siya lolo. Si Attorney Chel had a very strong...
Middle age siya. Like, people are
Oh,
mean.
kaya nga, kaya lang naman tumatawag sa kanya woke lolo, pero hindi po siya woke lolo. Siya po ay woke, pero hindi pa siya lolo. Pero yun, so Attorney Chel was very instrumental in introducing akbayan and its politics to a younger base of voters. Kaya nga siguro, isa sa dahilan kaya lagi nagtatap sa mga campus surveys ng akbayan ay dahil kay Attorney Chel. And of course, idagdag mo pa doon yung endorsement power ni Senator Risa Ontiveros.
We'll talk about Riza very shortly because that's all obviously something that was the subject of my article this year, this week, which is like Riza Ontiveros Project 2028 question mark para wala manggalit sa akin. I always put a question mark, unlike Ronald Llamas, puro exclamation. Um, how do you feel about the fact na this is the greatest ever performance, right? By Akbay. This is not the first time na tatlo kayo, naabutan ko kayo,
Yes.
tatlo pa kayo, but in terms of share, mandate, momentum, no? Good vibes, eto na, di ba? And I mean, the quality, amazing. I mean, like all of you, you have the full slate is there, di ba? Can you tell about the three nominees? Again, for the sake of people.
So, syempre, kilala na natin si Attorney Chel Jokno, human rights defender, idol ng mga bagets, tapos may mahabang tradisyon ng paglilingkod para ipaglaban ang karapatang pantao at yung mga nasa laylayan. No? So, palang, yung attorney sa Attorney Chel talagang sinasabuhay ngayon. At sa mahabang panahon ng patunayan, may mahaba siyang track record, literally, sa presinto kasi ang dami niyang tinulungan na mga agrabyado doon sa ating justice system. Yung third nominee natin ay isang Moro IP leader. So si Dada Kiram Ismula ay isang Moro IP leader mula sa Zamboanga, was very active doon sa struggle for ancestral domain. Kaya maligayang-maligaya ako. Personally, I'm so happy that the third nominee of Akbayan is a very strong woman na merong strong advocacy for both the Moro cause and for indigenous people. So, asahan ng mga kapatid natin mula sa indigenous communities across the country that they have an ally, they have a champion in Dada Ismula.
With Ma'am Dada Ismola, so kasi usually people separate the Moros from the Moro brothers and sisters from the indigenous communities. So in this case, both.
Both, yes.
So double representation.
Yes, so
Triple representation. And I don't mean it I mean it in the greatest sense of the word. Na she brings a voice na sobrang unique. Na have we had many people like her in the past in the Congress? Parang walang masyado na. Like,
very interesting si Dada. Tapos nung nagkukwentuhan kami, apparently there was also a time in her life na siya ay nag-BPO. So imagine that, yung dala-dala niyang breadth ng experience sa kanyang pagpasok sa Kongreso. So we're very excited itong pagpasok ni kasamang Dada Ismola. And of course with Attorney Chel Jokno. So excited na talaga kami.
I'm very excited to, yun nga, because of the unfortunate, the Duterte, the twisting of my Human Development Index, the Sub-Sahara thing, and for some reason, I would love to be back in Mindanao and talk to our brothers and sisters in Moro. Hopefully down the road, once the situation becomes more auspicious, I want to be back in Mindanao soon. Kaya itong Siargao, natin, parating nandito. But thank you to Cebu, kaibigan natin, for not making me persona non grata. But going back to this, Percy, so how is going to be the division of labor? Because I remember very well back in the day, di ba? Yung isa, yung teacher, yung isa, yung human rights, and then Risa, ganun. Di ba may division of labor? When I was with Walden, ganito si Walden, di ba? May teamwork yan di ba? This is a real political party, so teamwork. Meron ba kayong division of labor, specialization? Although, of course, mag-bleed in naman into each other.
Of course.
Naman.
Yes, syempre meron tayong flagship bills. No? And at the same time, while we have flagship bills, kinakailangan mo rin ng tao na nakafocus doon. Kasi di ba, hindi efficient kung kaming lahat ay member ng isang committee. Maganda that we spread ourselves so that we can cover more ground. And process ito ng legislation Nangyayari ang mga bagay-bagay, madalas sabay-sabay. At kung mas marami kayong magagawa. So yun yung pag-uusapan pa at pagpaplanuhan. Pero ako, I'm looking at the area of labor as a specialization or area of focus na gusto kong tutukan at ng opisina ko. At syempre, nandiyan yung usapin ng mga kapatid natin sa LGBTQIA community. So, isa siyang area that I would really like to focus on. Labor, employment, at saka yung gender justice. And I won't be surprised kung halimbawa one of us will be assigned or will be focusing on overseas Filipinos. Syempre, Attorney Chel will focus on human rights and justice. Yun yung napakahalagang dala-dala ni Attorney Chel na track record dito sa kongresong ito. And at the same time, alam naman natin that Attorney Chel is part of the prosecution panel pagdating ng 20th Congress.
Which is exactly what we were saying. Like, you want Leila and Chel to be there. And then exactly dalawang natalo dun sa Quadcom. Para sabi ko, that was creepy. And then exactly may dalawang opening bigla. And both Manay Layla, Layla bang tawag niya sa kanya? Si Senator
Ah,
Layla. Congresswoman Layla now and Chell there. So what committees, again, I know these are internal debates, but baka naman nakikinig si Martin, si Sir Martin. Ano mga committees ang gusto niyo? Baka may nakikinig sa atin. You never know. Baka naman, baka naman.
ah. Siyempre, mapapadala tayo. Siyempre, ano yan, may wish list tayo. Pero katingin ko, napakahalaga na makapasok tayo sa labor, makapasok tayo ng human rights, makapasok tayo ng overseas Filipinos, makapasok tayo ng public accountability o yung parang blue ribbon ng House of Representatives. So napakahalaga na maging bahagi tayo ng mga committee ito.
And you're cautiously optimistic given your strong mandate and I would say reasonable relationship. Even though hindi kayo kasama sa admin, I suppose you have a reasonable relationship, right?
Well, it's something that we have to build with the leadership of the House. Pero syempre, at the same time, we want to maintain our independence kasi napakahalaga nun. Kasi ganyan naman talaga mula noon hanggang ngayon ang kondukta ng akbayan pagdating sa Kongreso and even the Senate. We've always been independent. Kasi malinaw sa atin, loyalty natin is to the Filipino people.
Pero kasi talagang congressman ka na talaga. Yung mga sagot mo ay medyo congress. Hindi na lang showbiz, congressman. Dapat ka na maging DFA secretary. Baka may opening na dyan. Very good.
Na,
I saw what you did
na,
there. I saw what you did there. But baka naman.
naninibago ka ba sa diplomacy? Oo, yan. Oo.
Parang I was expecting parang a more colorful version of Ronald Llamas, but what I'm getting is a more colorful version of, I don't know, a DFA secretary. Wag lang colorful version ni Ari Roque. Now
Oo.
we're gonna go to the last part, and this part is really important. So, moving forward, ano yung mga mahalaga? Because may mga nagsabi, this election just proved, kapit lang, don't give up. Okay, completely agree, 100%. That's what literally kapit lang yung sinasabi ko before elections, di ba? Pangalawa, may bosses na tayo. We have chips to play, right? Maybe not the biggest, but we have chips to play. So you have to be smart with it. And then we had Attorney Dino De Leon, also a good friends of our fellow traveler, if I can use the term, who said, wag rin tayo malasing sa success natin because we have to put it into perspective. It's not like we have majority in Senate and Congress, right? Like, hindi naman ito yung ganun landslide, right? Even if, Bam is number 2 and Kiko is number 5, ranking lang yan. In the end, they're just 2 votes plus Risa, right? So, basically, how are you gonna make sure you get the most bang out of your buck, right? Meaning, dun sa not so many seats na meron tayo, progressive movement sa Kongreso, sa executive branch. By the way, Congressman Bagao, no? Kakao, another very great person who made it, right? Ikaw, anong sa basa mo, how do you make sure you make the most out of that? Na the strong minority bloc, if I can put it that way. Pwede bang maging kingmakers? Or would kingmaker be actually parang depreciating actually the value you can bring to the conversation? And so what should be the strategy forward given the number of chips you have and given the skill level that you bring to the table?
Actually, marami at malalim yung expertise na dala-dala natin this time around. Kasi halimbawa, 3 tayo sa akbayan, tama ka, nandito dagdag mo pa, si Congresswoman Kakabag-Aw, Dragon Slayer from Dinagat. Tapos if we can form that reform bloc in Congress with perhaps Manay Leila, of ML, members of the Liberal Party, at yung pang gustong sumali, that's a very strong voting force within Congress to push for actual reforms na magre-resulta doon sa mas magaan na buhay para sa ating mga kababayan. Kasi di ba, napakahalaga na may proof of concept yung pangarap natin sa 2028. At yun dapat pagtatrabuhan in the next 3 years. Paano tayo makapagbigay ng ginhawa doon sa ating mga kababayan that would serve as our ticket for them to consider whatever alternative we will offer pagdating ng susunod na election. So yung trabaho talaga ngayong susunod na 3 taon ay paano natin pagagaanin yung buhay ng ating mga kababayan. Kasi dahil sa nangyayaring duopoly sa ating politika, mukhang yun na napabayaan at yun na nabitawan. Hindi na pagaan at naibsan yung paghihirap ng ating mga kababayan.
Well, parang ganun din ang sinabi ni PBM, di ba? Ang gusto ng tao, hindi politika, kaya reconciliation. Kaya ako, again jokingly, I said, why not si Sarah, i-rehire niyo na lang sa cabinet para happy na lahat. Love, love, love.
Oo. At lalong tumaas yung backlog natin sa classrooms.
By the way, just on a side note, anong tingin mo kay Amy Marcos na just saved by the skin of her teeth? I'm gonna put it nicely. Some would say by the skin of her. Like, biglang gusto maging Senate President. Ito ba yung mga kulelat sa class pero gusto maging class president? Like, what? Kasi at least sa inyo sa Congress, klaro na, it's Martin Romualdez again, what, 283 votes. Pero yung Senate, do you think we're still gonna have Mr. Fashionista, Cheese Escudero, or si ano, Tito Vico, Vic Soto, or ano, si ano ba? How important is your dynamics with the Senate in the coming months? How are you looking at that? Kasi medyo contentious yung dynamics yun, to put it nicely, di ba? It matters.
It matters, especially dahil meron tayong pagdadaanan ng isang democratic process, isang major democratic process in the next few months, that is the impeachment. And that rests yung at least yung authenticity, yung integrity ng proseso doon sa leadership ng Senado. Kaya napakahalaga that the Senate elects a leadership that would ensure a fair process para dito sa ating impeachment complaint.
Talagang safe yung answer mo. Sige, we'll ask na lang si Attorney Chelo Pool in the near future. No, no, I just want to make it clear. You don't have to say anything per se. Ang sabi ng tapat ng daldal ni Richard sa conversation. I said, you don't understand it. The guests are just there as an excuse for me to say what I want to say. Si Henry Kissinger daw meron siyang parang expression. Do you have any question for my answers? Parang ganun. Ang masasabi ko lang dito, yes, it's a numbers game sa Senate. It doesn't look the most, let's say, auspicious, lalo with Mark Oleta, the rest coming in. But it's also numbers game in public opinion. So I think
Yeah.
as long as hindi Mickey Mouse yung trial, I think may pag-asa. Yun lang. Basta wag lang Mickey Mouse.
Oo, tsaka ano, deserve na impeachment complaint na ito ng kanyang fair day in court. At tingin ko para napakahalaga that we let our kababayans hear the evidence. Pag narinig nila yung ebidensya, narinig nila yung totoong kwento at katotohanan, I won't be surprised kung marami sa ating mga kababayan na magbabago ng isip at perspective pagdating dito sa duopoly na ito.
And then last part, I really left it for the last part because this is the interesting. Okay, let's talk about 2028 because ang ganda ng explanation mo, Ka-Percy, I Representative Percy, dun sa issue ng, nakita natin na yung mga seeds of success for 2025 ay was planted already in 2022. So logically, you could say maybe the seeds of God willing success in 2028, even bigger, high-stakes success kasi Malacanang ng pinag-usapan, could be planted as early as now moving forward. So ano yung mga mahalaga dito? Because one of the things we want to make sure is hindi mangyari yung nangyari last time. I mean, by the way, of course, all kudos to Bam and Lenny going from 2-3% to, I don't know, 21%, right? But nevertheless, maraming tao nagsabi, and internal to, kausap natin yung mga internal people, sana mas prepared sila, hindi last minute, sana klaro yung mobilization around one leader para consolidated yung base. Kasi you can imagine, even if Sara doesn't get impeached, convicted, impeached na siya, convicted,
Yeah.
he could be, politically damaged, as Justice Carpio put it, enough for her not to be the, like the predominant, inevitable candidate, right? She could be at around 20% or 25-30. That means there's still 70% to carve out. So if you consolidate your base, then may chance talagang genuine opposition to go head to head with Sara Duterte, or baka may bongo element pa, which could create another interesting dynamic. So what I'm saying is that the road is open. The road to Damascus is open. There's a lot of hope. There's a lot of dynamics. But you have to get certain things right, no? So what are the lessons we learned from 2022 or even 2016 na dapat siguraduhin natin, both good and bad, baka there's good also, in fairness naman, na pwede natin i-apply in the next 2 or 3 years, Congressman Percy, aside from, of course, the everyday job you're gonna do. Let's not forget, pag sinasabi natin 2028, hindi ibig sabihin wala na tayong gagawin ng trabaho except mag-strategize. Tuloy-tuloy yung trabaho. Pero at the same time, you have to multitask, di ba? You have to prepare for the next big thing.
Ako tingin ko pinakamalaga ngayon, ito yung laging sinasabi at ang pag-usapan niyo rin ni Ronald, pag-consolidate ng base, pag-consolidate ng base. And you can only do that by offering some sort of a vision na pwedeng panghawakan ng mga tao. Kasi mahalaga na alam ng mga tao saan tayo papunta, alam nila yung kanilang gagawin. Kasi pag malinaw na yun sa kanila, doon mo na sila masisimulang i-activate. So, it's very important to activate our base around reform causes, reform issues, kasi later on, madali na i-convert siya into an electoral machinery. At yung makinarya na ito, tulad nung dati, noong 2022 at ngayon 2025, will be powered by volunteerism and by people power. And the only way that that could happen successfully is if we invest in driving up yung passion ng mga kasama natin dito sa movement na ito. So, kahit sino pa man yan natatakbo sa 2028, mahalaga na balikan yung consolidation process. Mahalaga na balikan natin yung mga puwersa that led us to this victory. Na sabi ng iba, hindi malaki, pero nonetheless, it's victory ng 2025, and let's build on that. At yung isa din mahalagang tutukan ay how do we further harness the power of young people? Kasi kung ngayon, isa na silang malaking majority, there will be a bigger majority in 2028. At kung ngayon ay source of information sila, baka mas malaking source of information sila pagdating ng 2028. And that's the challenges, I think.
The big tent, no? The big tent is really the way forward. So naturally, as the de facto leader of the opposition, Riza Ontiveros has to take up the cudgels for that, right? So what is the relevance of her saying bukas siya to be a standard bearer? She didn't say she's seeking it. She's just saying she's not ruling it out. Those are two different things. Some people try to make a lot out of it, saying, "Oh, she's being presumptuous." At the same time, like some people are saying it's good na as early as now. Some people are expressing their openness para naman pwede na magkaroon ng consolidation kasi kung pakipot tayo, wala na. Because hindi naman pakipot si Sara eh. Even Bongo, right? I was with him nung nanalo siya sa TV5 and then sabi niya, basically sinabi na, nagsakripisyo nga ako nung 2019 eh. Ang ganda nga ng, 2022 eh. So parang, basically nagparinig siya na baka naman, this time ako naman, di ba? So, and Rafi Tulfo, I think we all know that he has his sight on 2028. Well, you're a good speaker of the House maybe also. So, it's not like it's a grave sin for Riza to just say, bukas siyas idea, but she didn't say, I should be the one. Primaries, is that maybe one way forward, Ka-Percy?
Well, what I'm seeing sana in the next months, lalo-lalo na in the next 9 months, is a process of consolidation. No, kasi alam naman natin, minsan yung process ng primaries, ano yung agad yan eh, result agad siya ng tensions. Kasi di ba may pipiliin, may hindi pipiliin. So baka yung mas immediate task is how do we consolidate the base.
When you say consolidate base, are you saying that yung mga sabi nila independent sila ng elections pero sa totoo lang opposite? Maybe they should make it clear that they are indeed part of the genuine opposition. Like, is it very important that Riza, Bam, and Kiko are indeed one block in the
It's
Senate, right? Kasi kung everyone is gonna do freelancing, hindi, independent ako, hindi ako opposition, medyo good luck na sa atin, di ba?
yung nakikita ko kasi mas challenge is sa ground level eh. Kasi yung mga tao naman na nandun na sa positions of power, mas open yung line sila for communication. In fact, nakikita nga yung mga yan araw-araw. Pero yung on the ground, yun yung mas mahalaga na i-consolidate. Kasi yun yung mas mahaba yung process ng consolidation. So, ang daming forces na nariyan. Maaring nariyan noong 2022, since then, or maaring ngayon lang lumabas ng 2025. And who's taking stock of that? Sino yung nagko-consolidate ng mga pwersang ito? Ito yung mahalaga na kinakailangan na touch point going into 2028, starting now. Kasi nandyan sila eh. At pag hindi natin inalagaan, we might lose them. Maaaring susuporta, boboto pa rin sa atin, pero baka hindi na-activated as campaigners. So yung base talaga ang napakahalaga. Kasi that's the only way that you can compete with a very well-oiled machinery of either the administration or the Dutertes when it comes to yung laban natin sa 2028. So saan yung ating alas, saan yung ating strength, yun yung i-harness natin. At yun yung isang people-powered campaign.
And do you think it's important it'll be a complete slate? 12 senators, vice president and president, or maybe there should be interface, like team up with like-minded but not necessarily opposition, tactical alliance. Some would even say if you're up against the worst case scenario potential as your rival. Again, I know it's too early to say, pero yun nga, ang point ko naman is I think the lesson we should have learned is this is scenario building. Hindi tayo Madam Auring here. We're just looking at different scenarios and what should be the corresponding tactical and strategic calculus, diba?
Usually naman, ang nagdidictate ng strategy ay yung historical conjuncture at yung reality sa meron ka. At the time na nagtano ka or yung unang po-project mo na scenario. Pero sa dulo, ang dapat malinaw ay meron tayong pwedeng i-offer na alternatives sa ating mga kababayan. At yung alternatives na yon, ngayon pa lang, binubuo na natin dapat.
And just to close this, Ka-Percy, I know you're very busy. Thank you so much again for making time today. Maybe I'll have Rafaela separate to talk about yung West Philippines na natin to. So kaya nga, I just try to keep that separately. We hope to have her also on my UTAC forum together with PCG and Philippine Navy, etc. We hope to have you also soon. Sana in person na rin gawin natin yan. Percy, um, what are your greatest fears or anxieties and concerns moving forward? And then what are your greatest hopes and yung motivation mo moving forward? Because I think any good, di ba, ano yun, parang pessimism of the mind, optimism of the spirit, di ba? Yung basically to quote Gramsci, our good friend, di ba? What is the pessimism of the mind? What is the optimism of the heart that's gonna shape your interventions and your advocacy and your job as a congressman in the next 3 years?
Well, siguro, on one end, overwhelming masaya tayo dahil ang laki ng binigay na tiwala sa atin ng ating mga kababayan. Pero also, grabe din yung pressure. No? Imagine, historic high when it comes to mandate para sa isang party list group. Hindi ako masyadong nag-worry, hindi ako masyadong pessimistic, pero nararamdaman ko yung pressure sa Akbayan. At siguro extra yung pressure kasi Akbayan, meron siyang mahabang track record of delivering results and solutions para sa ating mga kababayan. So yung challenge ngayon ay how do we ensure na magagawa natin siya efficiently, effectively, pwede, at mas mabilis. So that's one. No? That's one feeling na kinakailangan natin i-manage. And at the same time, siguro, may iba ka ding hugot kasi imagine if you have a very strong mandate that powers you up, that gives you more confidence, that gives you more, a bigger platform when you want to communicate the alternatives and solutions that you want to propose. So siguro yung salubong nung dalawang damdamin na yon, yan yung magiging mahalagang dynamo ng Akbayan Trio at ng Akbayan na kasama si Kakabag-Aw at yung Akbayan with the other members of the Reform Bloc in the 20th Congress. So, isang sigurado ako, this term will be very promising for the people.
Yeah, let's keep it there. Baka may sasabihin tayo. Baka matwist na naman ang mga ka-DDS natin. Ang hirap magsalita nowadays, no? I cannot let you go kasi ganun din ako kay Attorney Cristina Conti among others. Yung mga kabataan natin na kasama na, na in-interview. Hindi masyado si Ronald ang tinatanong ko. Ano bang self-care routine natin ngayon? Kasi si dami nagtatanong anong skincare. Ikaw, meron ba kayong hair care, nail care, the meditation? Percy, how do you keep it together and keep it strong? Because we need you to be strong and healthy at your best in the next 3 years at the very least. I won't be even surprised baka ikaw pa yung maging campaign manager of the next president. But I don't want to put you too much. But how to stay strong? Kasi kumbaga lifestyle advice.
Siguro yung isang bagay na laging sinasabi sa atin na yung moisturize, moisturize, moisturize. Very important. At yung moisturize, at yung pag-moisturize, hindi lang pag-moisturize ng balat, pag-moisturize ng ating joints, pag-moisturize ng ating mental health. So, still struggling pero getting there, yung work-life balance, which is very difficult for activists and advocates. Aspiration na sana eventually magkaroon ng work-life balance. Pero we surround ourselves with people who love and are passionate about the things that we do. Kasi tingin ko, yun yung pinakamahalaga na self-care na magagawa mo. You surround yourself with people who are also passionate about the things that you do.
Siguro balang araw ma-interview din natin si Tatay Digong. Ano yung work-jail balance? Ano pa yung work from Hague routine nila? Di ba? Kasi mukhang ang taas ang approval rating. Mukhang it's very effective. I mean, he's getting majority support for work from Hague cardboard mayor mode. Sabi ko nga, isama na rin si Teves. Baka si Harry Roque, pwede na rin sama, baka majority na rin sila. Kasi mukhang kung sino walang trabaho, yun yung majority na approval. I mean, to be fair to BBM, he's the only one with the real job actually dun sa nilagay sa listahan. So, looking forward to work from Hague advice, lifestyle advice, you never know, you never know. Thank you so much, Ka-Percy. God bless you. Tuloy-tuloy yung laban and hopefully have you in person. I've been looking forward to it. Tapos ng election, so hindi na magagalit yung mga persona trapos sa'yo. sabi ko, iniwasan yata ako. Sige, iwasan ko rin sila election eh. Pero ngayon, nanalo na kayo. So pwede na tayo magsama. Talk to you soon, Percy. Send our
Thank you for that. Thank you for not asking me about the Sampalan issue. So I'm very, very happy about it. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Of course. Ikaw.
I was thinking, siguro ko na itatanong nito tungkol sa Sampalan kasi baka makita kami sa zona. Pero thanks you for not asking that. So that's for another conversation.
Another conversation. And just advice lang, pag sa team mo, Mura lang po yung ano, yung lapel kasi napansin ko yung mga series mo kay kasi parang medyo low budget masyado, sayang, may rainbow, may ganun. Pero lagyan mo naman ng lapel, may mura na sale na 60%, nakikita ko lang sa Shopee kanina.
Ah,
So,
ah,
may, so I can send you recommendation para yung maganda mong boses pag in-explain mo yung linguist.
Zuela.
Umuwi ka na, Joella, umuwi ka na, di ba? Para tuloy-tuloy ang laban on that note. Thank you very much. God bless and talk to you soon, Ka-Percy. God bless.
Yes, PM is key.
Oh my God, pahirapan mo talaga kami. Sige, memorize, memorize. Word of the day. Yeah.